Today, we are starting with a year in review and the lessons learned. Now, I want you to think of this episode as a treasure hunt through the past 12 months, where you are collecting all these different gems of wisdom and insight. Now, as we reflect on the year's experiences, we want to celebrate our achievements and the things that have made us proud and that have made us happy. But intertwined with all of these stories of success are often moments of regret, the I wish I had done this, or if only I could have done this type moments. And instead of letting these feelings consume you with regret, I want you to today recognize and use those as a way of being able to prioritize what matters most to you because they really are powerful lessons about missed opportunities, timing, and the importance of the courage to act on things that matter most to you. As they say, yesterday was a great time to begin, and the next best time is today. So, one of my favorite books on this topic is The Power of Regret by Daniel Pink, where he shares that as we get older, we regret what we didn't do much more than what we did do. Over time, those regrets of inaction, he says, easily outnumber regrets of action. And his research also shows that regret, when handled correctly, offers three big benefits. Number one, it can really sharpen our decision making skills. Number two, it can elevate our performance on a range of tasks. And number three, it can even strengthen our sense of meaning and connectedness. Now, when we think about the word regret, we usually tend to think of missed opportunities. But in the book, he actually breaks down the four different types of regret that we experience as people. So let's break those down. Number one, he says, are foundation regrets. These are regrets that are related to like the groundwork of our lives, such as getting a good education, staying healthy, finances, and they really depend on our ability to be conscientious and responsible. Get the basics right and we thrive, but slip up and then regret follows right after. The second type of regret that he talks about is boldness regret. We all have many different opportunities or chances in our lives to be able to decide whether we want to do A or B. According to Daniel Pink, being bold and taking risks oftentimes leads to less regret. And that's really the one where I think in the age of AI really is the one that is going to probably matter a lot because there are a lot of things that are unknown. In fact, everything is unknown for everybody, but our ability to lean into that uncertainty is what is going to allow us to have less regrets about inaction than, the things like he says that we regret in terms of taking action. So that's also really where design thinking comes in because I know when I say something like that, somebody might be like, well, what if something goes wrong? Or what if that risk, gets, causes more harm than good? And that's one of the beauties of design thinking is that we're really able to evaluate the type of risks we're taking, gather the data that we need to make those informed choices. So that when we do take risks, number one, we're taking small steps, but number two, they are informed using data. So next time, if you're wondering, should I take that big risk or not, or should I go down that path? Remember Daniel Pink saying being bold and taking risks usually leads to less regret. So the third type of regret he talks about is moral regret. And although we sometimes rationalize them in the moment, they're often choices that deep down we know are wrong, even when we're making them. So things like lying to somebody, any type of fraud would be one, like cheating on someone. These types of regrets are insidious, meaning that they compromise our belief in our own goodness and kind of like eat away at us inside. And then the last regret that he talks about is connection. There are always going to be people in our lives who are, just so important to our like sense of self, our partners, our parents, our siblings, our friends. And when we neglect these relationships, there is often this like deep sort of like sense of loss. And, one of my biggest hopes is that, again, in the age of AI, we're able to really spend more time on those kinds of relationships because I think we all wish we had more time for family, for our health, our wellness, and obviously the things that matter most to us as humans. And of course, like I shared with you earlier, these are all moments where design thinking and AI can really help us identify the areas that we want to focus in on so that we could really, again, look at that data, take those small steps to get to where we want to go, which brings us to today's Daily Spark. And as always, you're going to find a template in the show notes that you can cut, paste, edit, and make your own. So today's situation is that as we reflect on the year gone by, I want you to think about the moments that really stand out. both the highs and the lows. What were maybe some of your major milestones? But also equally important, what are some of like the missed opportunities or like choices you wish maybe you had done differently? And why didn't you do those? Like, what were some of the barriers that you faced along the way that maybe prevented you from doing that? It's really natural, to experience both pride and regret when looking back. So I don't want you to like neglect one over the other. Maybe, for example, you're really proud of this project that you completed, but maybe you regret that, like, maybe you didn't travel to that place you wanted to go, or maybe there was a skill you wanted to learn, you just didn't get to. And although, like I said, regret can be a little bit uncomfortable, it's really invaluable in being able to better understand what really matters to you. So, our aspiration is going to be to see these reflections as not just like reminiscing on the past, but as these learning opportunities. How do these insights shape our decisions and our actions moving forward in the year ahead? So, the aim is for us to really be able to celebrate our achievements while also using our regrets as a compass for future choices. What we want to think about when we think about results is I want you to kind of consider maybe like, an opportunity that maybe you wanted to expand in on, but you hesitated because there was this kind of risk maybe involved. And then that regret now becomes this opportunity to be able to be like, okay, how can I better assess the risk so that I don't miss out on these different things? These reflections, like I said, can really guide your future choices, encouraging you to take more calculated, thoughtful risks instead of ones that are more haphazard that you may have, worse returns on. So now it is your turn. For the situation, I want you to identify a specific achievement or regret from the past year. Maybe you successfully led a team project at work, but maybe you regretted not starting the online course that you wanted to get into or that you wanted to take. For the problem today, I want you to acknowledge the emotions that were attached to those experiences. Maybe you felt really proud of the work that you achieved with your team, but really frustrated that maybe you didn't prioritize your own personal development. And when thinking about your aspiration, I want you to think about how can you use the understanding from these experiences to be able to guide you in the future, be that compass for those choices you're going to make. And I want you to use this regret to motivate you to take whatever action it is that you need to take next year. For the results, I want you to imagine and really visualize the growth and satisfaction that will come from you taking that action. Every action you take boosts your confidence that much more. The other thing to really just consider is making sure you balance both professional success and ambitions with personal ones as well. So, as we wrap up today's Daily Spark, remember that our past year's journey, with all of its successes, all of its regrets, all of its stories, is really just one more place for you to gather insights and data about how to make better choices moving forward and to bring about more happiness and joy doing the things that you want to spend more time doing. So keep reflecting, keep learning, and as always, keep sharing those stories.